Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to yet again another League of Legends video. So whenever a certain champion or a certain build on a champion is becoming very popular, especially in the mid lane, well, I love making videos to talk about it, explain to you guys why it is strong, and explain to you guys in a guide sort of way as to why it is actually strong, how to play it, and all that good stuff. And if you haven't guessed yet, in today's video, we will be talking about Corki mid lane. If you play a couple of League of Legends games a day or so, you've probably seen Corki in the mid. Or if you tune into LCS, chances are you've also seen it there as well. So there are many reasons as to why it is actually quite strong in the mid lane, and it is something that I'm personally enjoying quite a bit and really having fun with. So as usual, we'll go over the runes, masteries, items, the builds, and everything you really need to know in order to get into a game and start playing this bad boy. But the question for this video that I want to ask you guys is, what is your favorite LCS team? And if you don't watch LCS, well, why not? And as usual, if you end up enjoying the video, make sure to show that like button some love. But let's get right into things. So the first thing we'll start talking about is why is it strong? What are the positives and what are the negatives of playing Corki in the mid lane? Well, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why I think it's so good and why I'm liking it so much is not only because of the playstyle being very fun, but his passive being absolutely amazing. And I'm not referring to the package that he gets every 8 minutes. I'm talking about the passive where it makes his basic attacks to deal 55% of the total damage as physical and the other 55% as magical, not only splitting up the damage, making him a natural hybrid type champion, so it's very difficult to build resistances towards it, but also being able to do 110% AD damage. Now, this is a really good passive, but in my opinion, it is sort of a double-edged sword. Because at the end of the day, dealing 2 types of damage without really having the option to kind of stop doing 2 types of damage means that you can't focus on maybe just physical or just magical. You're always kind of doing a bit of both and being just kind of okay at doing a bit of both. You don't really excel at one or the other. Again, not really a bad thing, but it is sort of a double-edged sword. But on top of that, it's still a fantastic passive, but he has a second passive where it is also quite good. The package that spawns every 8 minutes or so is very, very strong. It does a lot of damage, it has huge range, and really just makes so much playmaking potential. And it works even better as a mid laner because, well, as a mid laner, you should be roaming quite often to begin with, and this helps you roam so much easier. Not only do you get that ridiculously sweet range, but you get the instant home guard effect, so you can get to the place you want to roam to almost instantly from base, make your play happen, probably get a kill, and then go back to mid lane. So it just fits the playstyle of a mid laner with just the passive already. But then the way Corki plays also with his Q and his ultimate is very fitting of a mid laner as well, being very kind of AoE damage, poke heavy, and has decent wave clear. He synergizes with Trinity Force exceptionally well because you can proc the Sheen effect very easily with either your Q, your E, or your ultimate with the several stacks you have on it. Once you get Rapid Fire Cannon as your third item, your power spike is gonna be out of this world, and I promise you, if you've never played this before, once you get the Rapid Fire Cannon, as long as you're not behind, you will be surprised at the damage you can do. Oh yeah, and he is a hybrid champion that deals a decent amount of magical and physical damage, but to make things even better, you have his E ability, which even then shreds the resistances of both armor and magic resistance. His auto attack animation, in my opinion, is fantastic as well, so last hitting shouldn't be too much of a problem. And overall, he's just a great champion with a very good kit, especially for mid lane. However, the negatives of Corki, well, his W range without the package got nerfed ever since the reworks, so it is pretty bad when it comes to range. So there are going to be quite a bit of walls that you can no longer W over. You must get used to using your auto attack per spell cast in order to actually make full use of the Sheen effect, which if you're not used to can be a little awkward and challenging. And the package, even though it has a lot of playmaking potential, can put you in a bad scenario if you misuse it, and sometimes you can feel very greedy and use it for the sake of using it. But now that you guys have a general idea of why Corki in the mid lane has become so popular and why it's so successful and strong, let's go into some tips and tricks when playing this. So these are general things just to keep in mind, and the most important thing without question should be that you have to get used to using your auto attack as often as possible between each spell cast. So for instance, you pop your E, you auto attack, you throw your Q, you auto attack, you pop your ultimate, you auto attack, you throw another ultimate, you auto attack, you W in, you auto attack, and things like that. It doesn't have to be exactly like I just said, but that's the general idea. Sometimes you will be using 2 spells, like maybe your Q and your E, and then auto attacking. But speaking of such things, a typical in-lane harass that you can do with Corki is you can walk in for the auto attack if they come in range of your auto attack range. The second your auto attack comes out, throw your Q to deal damage, and then you want to move forward the second you throw your Q because you do have a little bit of a delay since you don't have a lot of attack speed yet. And then you auto attack again, assuming you already have Sheen. Something that I've noticed that's actually quite strong is, I mean, you are running Thunderlords on Corki, and your E ability will be able to solely proc Thunderlords in just 1.5 seconds. So worst comes to worst, if you miss all your abilities, then at least you land an auto attack. I mean, your E ability will do the rest of the job to proc the bad boy. However, when we're talking about a full trade combo, maybe in a team fight or something, you usually want to start off by using your E ability and then either auto attacking or throwing your ultimate and then auto attacking again. Then you throw your Q, then you auto attack again, and then you start throwing out your ultimate per auto attack in between. Or if you're going for a sort of quick burst combo, then you can instantly just use your Q followed by your ultimate as well, throw in the auto attack with rapid fire cannon if you already have it, and then pop your E, auto attack again, and things like that. Or you can instead use your Q and your E, auto attack, ult, auto attack. But essentially, you always want to make sure you do use your E ability because it's not an ability you should be holding on to. You should use it almost whenever you're doing any form of action. And before we get into the actual item builds, runes, and masteries, let's quickly mention what abilities you want to level in what order and what summoner spells to use. So almost always you'll want to start off with your Q ability first. Again, this is primarily for mid lane. Bot lane can be a little different, but chances are it is the same. At level 2, usually you want to put a point in your W, though there are some exceptions. Level 3, put another point into Q, and then level 4, put that point into the E ability, and then from then on forth, max your Q first, then your E, then your W, and ultimate whenever you can. When it comes to summoner spells, you still treat Corki as an ADC type champion, so you still go flash, and then you either go heal, barrier, or cleanse. And I have listed there at the bottom right which summoner spell you want to take and when. Alright, so I'm sure most of you are wondering what items, what runes, and what masteries do I take when playing Corki in the mid lane. I mean, I see people play it all the time, but I don't really know what's the core items, in what order do I build them, and things like that. So let us talk about that next. So when talking about starting items, you can either go Doran's Blade and 1 potion, or you can go the Corrupting Potion instead. Now in most scenarios, I do recommend the Corrupting Potion because you are going to be using a decent amount of mana in the laning phase. The Corrupting Potion just helps you sustain both your HP and mana in that sense as well. And whenever you're going in for the trade or the Q harass, I mean, the Corrupting Potion's bonus damage it offers while it's healing you is quite useful. But let's talk about the core items next. So from my own experience and after doing some research, Trinity Force, Boots of Sorcery, Infinity Edge, and Rapid Fire Cannon are without question the core items. Now you might be asking, why do I get Infinity Edge over Essence Reaver? I mean, Corki uses a lot of mana. Well, I mean, I actually don't think Essence Reaver is a bad one because it does give you a lot of crit chance, the mana as well, and it also gives you a decent amount of CDR. But trust me on this, if you go Infinity Edge, the synergy between those 3 items is very, very high. And once you get the 4th item being Rapid Fire Cannon, you will do so much damage, it is quite unbelievable. And the bonus crit damage offered by Infinity Edge makes this so much better. But regardless, after you get those 4 items, usually I do recommend the Mercurial Scimitar because, well, I mean, you need lifesteal, and the QSS effect is just absolutely wonderful at the very moment. Following that, if they have a lot of assassins, you can either go Bloodthirster for the shield, or something that I personally recommend, Sterak's Gauge, because it works very well with the Trinity Force. Essence Reaver also isn't really a bad option here either if they have a lot of magic damage, either Banshee's Veil or Maw of Malmorius. At the end of the day, it really just comes down to what are you facing. And at the very bottom, you can also see an example build path so you know which items I recommend to get in what order. So I recommend picking up the Sheen as your first item because then you can go a bit more aggressive in the laning phase using your auto attacks per spell. The damage is very, very high. After that, you want to get the Phage, finish off the Triforce, start working towards the Infinity Edge, followed by the Rapid Fire Cannon, and then probably start working towards the Mercurial Scimitar. And here's a general template that I recommend for the runes and the masteries. So talking about the masteries first, you go 12, 18, 0. This one should be somewhat self-explanatory. Thunderlords is fantastic on Corki. You proc both parts of it so it scales decently well. It works with your burst, and of course precision works very well on Corki since you are very hybrid oriented. Now when it comes to the runes, this is where you can go a little bit more crazy. At the moment in this example, I have flat AD reds, flat armor yellows, either flat MR or MR per level blues, and then attack speed quints. However, I have seen some players take hybrid penetration reds instead. Though personally I don't like it as much. I like the flat AD more because it does give you a little bit of that extra spike in the laning phase. If you're facing an AD champion in the mid lane, then you want to get the flat armor yellows. If you're facing an AP champion mid lane, you go either flat HP or HP per level. And then for the blues, if you're facing an AP champion mid lane, go either flat MR or MR per level blues, just depends on the champion you're facing and how aggressive that champion tends to be in the laning phase. Or if you're facing an AD champion mid lane, you get some of the CDR blues instead. So now that we got all of that out of the way, let's talk about the final thing in the video, my final overall rating. I decided to give him a very respectable 8.5 out of 10 because it is generally very strong. He has an absolutely ridiculously overloaded passive. He's very fun to play, which is a huge plus as well, so you generally will or you should enjoy playing this. He synergizes very well with the items you get. I mean, the power spike you get with rapid fire cannon with the Triforce and Infinity Edge is actually quite strong. Like, you guys, if you really haven't played it, you are just gonna be surprised. He has the wave clear, he has the poke, he has the shred on his E ability for maybe tanks or even the squishies. And I mean, overall, he just works. It's really that simple. The bad thing is, unfortunately, his W without the package is quite poor when it comes to range, and there's a lot of walls he cannot go over anymore. The missile speed on his Q ever since a while ago has been nerfed down to the point where it is very slow, but it is still definitely easy to land if you're used to it. The package can potentially make you make some very bad plays because you just want to use the damn thing. And auto attacking every single time between every spell just to use the Sheen effect, if you're not used to it, can be challenging. But once you master it, once you're used to it, the reward or the payoff is fantastic. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Corki in the mid lane. Now you know how to play it, why it's so strong, and you're seeing it very often, I assume, in solo queue and competitive play. And I really hope that this video told you everything you wanted to know. So if you did enjoy it, definitely hit the like button to show your support, maybe share with your friends, that helps quite a bit, subscribe if you haven't, and make sure to check out my other videos as well. And here are my favorite 3 comments from the previous video's question: what is your current favorite AP mid laner to play? Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next video. Peace.